Okay, so here's the deal with the system, guys. What you've got here is you have a line, obviously. It has a slope of 2 and an x-intercept of -3. And then you've got a parabola. Does that parabola open up, down, left, or right? Certainly it opens up because it's y equals and your a value is positive. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out if the line crosses the parabola. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to try to solve for the letter x. So if we want to solve for the letter x, we need to set the x's equal to each other. And the only way that you can do that is if the y's equal each other. So we're ready to roll here. So if y equals this and x equals that, then this equals that. That's going to be our first line of our work. So I'm going to write x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 2x minus 3. And remember, we're solving for x. We're going to see if they have an x in common. No matter what kind of level math class you're in, you cannot solve for an x when you have them all over the place. So once you set this equal to each other, you push everything to one side. Since my x squared term is already positive, I'm going to move this stuff over. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. I am also going to move that 3 over, or add 3 to both sides. So this becomes 0 equals x squared minus 4x. Oh, what happens there? That's all right. So that's it. So that's going to be the next line of our work. And then, guys, for a linear quadratic system, they are always going to cross with nice, clean numbers, nice, clean answers, which means we're going to have some discriminants that look like that. Notice the discriminant was a perfect square here. So I need to know if it's factorable. It's all about being factorable for this unit. Can you factor that? You can factor that. There's a GCF. You can factor that. What do those terms have in common? Yes. So you factored it. Good. So we're going to factor out an x. When I factor an x out of this, what is left over? X minus 4. And then we're back to solving, guys. So after you factor, what do I do with each one of these factors? Yes, I have 2 factors here. We're going to set them both equal to 0. So x is just 0 for that. For this one, remember x minus 4 equals 0. So what does x equal? Yeah. All right, so remember I was talking about a line and a parabola on a coordinate grid. And we're trying to figure out if they cross. It appears that they do cross. They cross where x equals 0, then it crosses again at the positive 4. But we have to figure out where they're at. We have to solve for y. So now that we have these, we're going to go back and plug into any one of those equations to solve for the letter y. I'm going to plug in the second equation because that's a lot easier to solve. So over here where x is 0, y is going to equal 2 times x, which is 0 minus 3. And then over here, y is going to equal 2 times x minus 3. So what is the y value when x is 0? That is right. And what about when x is 4? Good. Now remember, we are talking about locations on a coordinate grid. You have to write in this ordered pairs, y'all. So this is going to be 0, -3. And this is going to be a positive 4 and a positive 5. And that is the answer. Answers. The parabola and the line intersect twice. Any questions on that? Okay, so let's talk about what we did because it kind of changes a little bit depending on the problem. first of all, if you notice they already have y equals. If they're y equals, what is the first thing that we did? What is that step? What did we do? Almost. What did we do before we combined them? We set them equal to each other. So that was step 1. So we set them equal to each other. And then after we did that, what did we do next? Almost. Factoring is happening. You have to set it equal to 0. Everything gets pushed to one side. So after you set equal to each other, then you set equal to 0. And then guys, for linear quadratic systems, you always factor. That is always the next step. So after we factored, what do we do after we factored? We solve for x, and then we solve for y. Good. So after you factor, you solve for x, then you solve for y. That's what we did right here. And then those are our answers. Good. By the way, how many times do they really intersect? Twice. So think about the discriminant. Remember the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. What do you think the discriminant equaled based on our warm-up? A positive number for sure. What kind of answers did we get? Did we get some weird looking answers, or did we get some whole numbers? Perfect square. Perfect square root. So y'all, we're not going to find the discriminant today. We will. But this was a positive perfect square. Leave some space down there. We'll do it on Monday, but we're just kind of getting a feel for things right now. So that's it. And that's how we got our answers down there at -0, -3, and +4, 5.